In the headlines, a new draft on the electronic communications bill adopted this week expected to address fixed-line broadband markets. Dominica Essential Oils and Spices needs a $2 million shot in the arm to get back on its feet, and one adult male being questioned by police in connection with a suspected homicide in Silver Lake. I am Kenny Williams with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. First up, a monopoly in some fixed-line broadband markets and lack of new entrants are among the concerns which a new electronic communications bill addresses.
The draft Electronics Communications Bill was adopted on Wednesday for recommendation to be enacted at parliaments in the Eastern Caribbean. When passed in Parliament of 6 ECTEL member states, it will replace the 16-year-old Telecommunications Act. During a video conference of a stakeholder workshop in St. Lucia on Thursday, local representatives within the electronic communications sector were made aware of the regulations of the bill. The activity, hosted by the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority ECTEL and National Telecommunication Regulatory Commission in member states, offered the opportunity for participants to provide feedback on the regulations.
So the regulations are going to facilitate both ECTEL and the NTRCs to implement those key provisions. It provides them with an updated toolkit for imposing obligations, particularly on operators if they see market failures. And then it also protects consumers. And as we've seen over the past 15 years, there's an increasing focus by telecommunications regulators around the world on consumer protection and advocacy. And this law and the regulations that implement that law now focus on empowering consumers, for example, through the complaints process, through ensuring there are no misleading advertisements, fair contracts that describe the full services, etc.
Among the 6 regulations of the bill are those which focus on increasing competition in the telecoms market.
How can we encourage competition between the existing operators? How can we encourage new entrants to come in to invest in new services? And you'll see there are 3 regulations that help impact that. And then finally, the third is rationalization and sharing of infrastructure investment. There are 2 regulations in that grouping. First would be the submarine cable, which requires operators who own submarine cable landing stations to provide access to the landing station and the capacity available at those landing stations, so that new entrants can enter and obtain cost-based access to the capacity available. And given that submarine cable is by far the cheapest and best way for international connectivity to come into the ECTEL Islands, it's critical that new entrants be able to obtain cost-based access.
ECTEL and member NTRCs started the consultation process on an electronic communications bill in June 2015, receiving input from operators, governments, and consumers. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
More top stories. In excess of $2 million EC needed for the Dominica Essential Oils and Spices Cooperative Limited to rebuild following destruction of its distillery in Petit Savan since Tropical Storm Erica. Idona John Baptist has that story.
Much of the production of bay leaf is concentrated in the southeast, especially in Petit Savan and Dalis, a sector which generated $3.5 million in revenue for the Dominica Essential Oils and Spices Cooperative is no more. With its equipment, stock, some bay leaf fills, vehicle and factory gone, management and members of the cooperative have to start all over again to manufacture cologne, bay rum and aftershave. This is the area in Petit Savan where the distillery was located. You will notice part of the building's foundation, but no trace of anything else. One resident told us that the raging waters of Tropical Storm Erica brought down a slide on the factory, causing its boilers, which were brewing bay leaf for weeks, to explode. A lot of the burden rests on the shoulders of Ghana Elwa, General Manager of the Dominica Essential Oils and Spices. He told Channel 5 News that while they are trying to explore ways to rebuild, they also await government's promised assistance.
We are scouting for the availability of land. We could set up a distillery to build back the capacity of bay and the export that we once had. To date, we are working with the BAM. An initiative was developed where we could improve on the local or artisanal distilleries so as to get the production going.
Against this, the demand for bay oil has grown since the disaster, a situation which ILWA is encouraging producers to take advantage of.
The price was $55 per pound, and now it is as far as $90 per pound of bay oil, and the demand for bay is increasing.
But capitalizing on this existing opportunity would mean that Petite Savanne farmers would either have to go back to toiling the lands in the village, lands which have either been undermined by landslides, those that are inaccessible, or they can find new lands. We also noticed that there are bay leaf fields waiting to be harvested. The Dominica Essential Oils and Spices is actually the leading and longest-serving cooperative on island.
The one we have seen the most success stories that we regulate is the Dominica Essential Oils and Spices. They bring about 3.5 million a year, yes, to this economy. They have their markets in the United States and England, and they also have some regional markets. And they're presently now, while trying to rebuild, they're trying to diversify into other crops like the ilang-ilang, sweet basil. So they're in some little desperate situation right now, trying to get back.
Dominicans will have to wait until late April to know the fate of Deputy Leader of the United Workers' Party, Joshua Francis. Andrea Louis reports.
After the UWP's deputy leader was accused of alleged involvement in a recent matter now before the courts, calls were made by party supporters for his resignation from that post on the party's executive. However, the UWP leader says the deputy leader's fate will be determined at the party's delegates conference scheduled for 24th April.
The process will involve the delegates of the United Workers' Party across Dominica dealing with the matter of a resolution of no confidence in the deputy political leader. The political leader or the members of the executive, national executive, have no authority to do anything with the position of deputy political leader. That authority is vested in the delegates, and they'll deal with it appropriately, whichever way they choose to deal with it on the 24th.
Linton says there have been several attempts to meet with the deputy leader, but these have been futile.
The deputy political leader is not available until sometime after the 24th, I understand. The members of the National Executive Committee of the United Workers' Party cannot meet with the deputy if the deputy is not going to make himself available for meeting. We have had numerous examples in the past 6 weeks where attempts have been made to meet with the deputy, and the deputy has flatly refused or has declined the invitation. We as a group have not met with the deputy since the 29th of February. We have had 4 regularly scheduled meetings of the Executive Management Committee, and the deputy has not been available and has not attended those meetings. I gather that he is busy with other things.
Linton was addressing the media during a press conference on Thursday.
Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UE Open Campus says disruptive change is a reality that countries and organizations have to acknowledge if they are to effectively address it. Dr. Longsworth says disruptive change cannot be reversed and can lead to certain death as depicted in industries which manufacture typewriters, adding machines, and people who have made a living from writing shorthand who lost their jobs and had to learn other skills. Lecturing at Fort Young Wednesday night on the topic, A Teacup in a Storm, Developing Leadership Resilience in Disruptive Change, Dr. Longsworth said organizations that are unable to innovate and cope with this change will die. She says the Caribbean countries have to be aware of this, particularly when one considers how vulnerable they are.
Our small size, our relatively low technological and digital literacy, our vulnerability to natural disasters, dooming us to failure in the Caribbean? The answer to this question lies in our understanding of resilience and how important leadership is in building resilience to not just survive this disruptive change, but to also thrive. But we must first recognize that this is happening. We cannot bury our heads in the sand and say that we are fine, because the truth is we are not fine, but we have a way out.
Dr. Longsworth was delivering the 9th annual NBD UE Open Campus National Distinguished Lecture. Miss Dominica 2016, Tasia Flosak, has officially launched her platform. Andrea Louis has more.
Leading up to the National Queen Show this year, Ms. Flosak was vocal on the importance of embracing the role of the extended family in building a resilient society. On Wednesday, the Carnival Queen officially launched FIRES, Families Inspiring Resilient and Empowered Societies.
Many of us underestimate the power of family and how your family upbringing can influence your character, your actions, your decisions, your personal life, your career, your personal development. And now we find that children, youth, and even adults themselves are losing respect for the elder people in society and the youth growing up. The aim is that this project will bridge the generation gap between the young and the old and signify or promote the importance for healthy families in society.
The Discover Dominica Authority, which is in charge of organizing flagship carnival events, says Miss Dominica is positioning herself to be a remarkable role model and ambassador for the country.
We certainly would like to utilize your skills in that regard, and hopefully we can capitalize on some of the things that we have talked about doing in terms of putting you out there in the public eye as a role model for the youth, for families. So certainly as you go out to the regional pageants, that you perform to the best of your ability for yourself first and foremost, and then for all of Dominica.
The Queen's crew has put together a calendar of events as a means of empowering families in society.
In April, we will have the Bridging the Gap activity, which is going to be held quarterly. In May, we are going to host a Family Fitness Day in association with the Universal Martial Arts Academy. In June, we will have a Self-Development Month where we will engage the Queen's crew in various activities such as leadership sessions. In August, we will have the Kalinago Family Experience, and in September we'll have a Grandparents' Mass at the Lady of Fatima Church in Newtown. And in October, we're going to invite the past queens to contribute and take part in various projects with us.
Coming up, the UWP leader on his party's position re the IPO, and a warning for Petit Savan people who are considering going back home. Thank you for staying with us. A 17-year-old French national is the victim of a latest suspected homicide case in Dominica. This following a brutal attack at Silver Lake on Wednesday night.
The young man is Freddie Claude Vandal. Police discovered Vandal's body near the river when they responded to reports of gunshots at Silver Lake. A picture circulating on social media shows Vandal's body with several cuts and one of his ears cut off. Police are questioning an adult male in connection with the incident.
There were several marks of violence on the body, including a suspected gunshot wound. The victim has been identified as Freddie Claude Vandal, a 17-year-old who was born in Guadeloupe but is Dominican by descent. The scene was processed by the Crime Scenes Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department. Vandal was transported to the Accident and Emergency Department of the Princess Margaret Hospital, where he was officially pronounced dead by a medical doctor.
Chairman of the Petite-Savanne Village Council expects a meeting between Petite-Savanne residents and their parliamentary representative will hash out concerns over resettlement, but first he has a strong warning for his people.
Petite-Savanne Village Council Chairman Edward Thomas does not think a move by some Petite-Savanne residents to either remain or return to the village is a good idea. He says he understands too that it is a frustrating situation for his people to be out of their home, but he agrees the southeastern village is not suitable for living.
You know, frustration causes you to make the wrong decisions most times. A lot of people are going back to this Savannah and they're thinking that it is safe just because nothing is happening now. But I'm saying this, Petite-Savanne is not safe and people should not go up there and spend that long time, you know. People are going up there for weeks, for months. This is not good. Look, we are approaching the hurricane season soon. I mean, no one knows what is going to happen. And one other issue again, the road leading from the Batch area to Petite-Savanne, there are sections of this road that is undermined. It is just hanging. So, I mean, it is not good. People traveling on this road, it is just dangerous.
Thomas leads a Petite-Savanne Resettlement Committee responsible for distribution of relief supplies and acts as a liaison between residents and government. Members of that committee have met with Prime Minister Skerrit. They were also taken on a tour along with government officials to the Bellevue site identified for resettlement of Petite-Savanne folks. Gerard Laura went on that tour and says he told the government officials during the tour he was uncomfortable with the area.
The PS was that is Blackmore. They have two areas, one from the church going to Rosehill and another area that's below the road where they just build a new housing scheme for the Bellevue people. They relocate.
Do big people?
Anyway, when we come out of there, I tell them, well, Bellevue is not the correct area to put Petite-Savanne people. Because we are a fishing community, we have fishermen. And how we go in, how those fellas go in and fish. After we check that first part of the land they take from Bellevue, they took us down below the road. The PS tell us they have around 17 point something acres down there. So they bring us there. When I go down there, and to me when I walk in, I feel in, I think in, I tell them I'm not coming and live in that area.
A survey was done with residents aged 16 and over to get a sense of where they would have preferred to be relocated permanently. Warner was the most voted area. Thomas acknowledges the concerns about resettlement.
A lot of people are being a bit skeptic about the old Bellevue, you know. Down below where they are excavating at present, I mean, it's a bit damp in truth. It is a bit wet but the thing is, they will not house everybody, so I guess other people will be put elsewhere, you know. So, but I'm still seeing that we do not really have a choice, you know. I mean, can the place be made, you know, better so that we could control the level of moisture in the soil, you know.
Have you brought these concerns to your parliamentary representative and the powers that be?
Yeah, we are planning to have a meeting soon with him. I mean, we usually meet, but these issues were just brought to me recently, you know. So I'm planning to have a word with him and see how we come to a conclusion to this.
Leader of the parliamentary opposition, United Workers' Party, has spoken on his party's position regarding the Integrity in Public Office Commission.
Part of the reason for an Integrity in Public Office Act is to prevent corruption of people in public life by promoting integrity, transparency, and accountability. The UWP disagrees with last year's amendments made to reduce the size of the IPO and therefore has opted to not nominate anyone to the commission.
We opposed the amendments to the IPO on principle in the Parliament in December of 2015. And we thought that rather than make the legislation better and more effective for the work that it was intended to do, the government actually reduced the effectiveness of the legislation. And so we wrote to the Prime Minister, I did, in my capacity as head of the parliamentary opposition, outlining specific areas that we think needs to be addressed in the legislation before we move forward with it. That letter was sent to the Prime Minister in February. We're now in April. There's not been an acknowledgement or a response to the letter. We have decided in the circumstances we will not be nominating anybody to sit on the three-member commission.
Linton says the opposition has no problem nominating someone to the IPO commission. However, some changes have to be made.
All we have asked him to do is, in the public interest, go back to the Parliament, revisit the legislation, let us make it better as opposed to make it worse, and then we'll move along.
That's news. Your sports highlights up next. Intel Security Raiders doubled the points of Fashion Line Falcons in a Division I match of the 2016 Flow DABA League Wednesday night. With his eyes set on the rim and confident shots, Kerbin Nathan added 25 points with 2 assists, and John James came in with 12 to help bring Raiders to 78. Falcons, in their bid to contend, were only able to reach 39, as Y. Regis got the most with 15 points. Meantime, in the other match, Fast Cash Prowlers defeated Signman X-Men 65-55. Prowler's top shooter was Fitzgerald Daniel with 24 points, while Clem Nicholas top scored for X-Men with 23. The action continues Friday when Paybush Snipers and Justina Charles Thunderers stir up some excitement from 7 p.m. Then at 9, Eagles and Fashion Line Falcons will meet up for play. The games will be played at Lindo Park. On to football referee training now. FIFA instructor Denmore Roberts says referees need to update their knowledge on refereeing as some changes have been made to the rules of the game. He says a more accurate interpretation of the rules have been documented since certain terms are misinterpreted when translating from one language to the next.
198 amendments. It means that from the end of June or so, you have to read over your book. You have to read over the laws of the game. All the amendments are not major. Some, quite a number of them, are an adjustment in wording so that the English translation is better. Because a lot of the things, when you translate from English to Spanish to French to German, it has different meanings. So you might be watching the TV and see people doing different things to what you're told simply because it's lost in translation. So a lot of the amendments, they've tried to ensure that each language that FIFA uses officially, that everybody's understanding the same thing.
Meantime, in the All-Ireland League, a lack of field preparation at Loubier after overnight and early morning showers prevented play between the Petit Savant Dream Team and Club Loubier. However, that match is rescheduled for Thursday at the Poirier Playing Field at 6 p.m. On the international cricket scene, Gujarat Lions bested Rising Pune Super Giants by 7 wickets with 12 balls remaining on Thursday. RPS won the toss and decided to bat first, posting 163 for 5. Faf du Plessis top scored for RPS with 69, Kevin Peterson 37. Ravindra Jadeja took 2 for 18, Pravin Tambi 2 for 33, and Dwayne Bravo 1 for 43 for Lions. Lions in reply scored 164 for 3. Aaron Finch made 50, while Brendan McCullum assisted with 49. Still in sports, a busy end of week for the sports division with a number of games down to be played. In the boys' under-20 basketball finals, Dominica State College defeated St. Mary's Academy 69-65 in a nail-biting final. For DSC, Jay Bellot with 15 points, 11 rebounds and 7 steals. E. Williams, 20 points, 11 rebounds and 5 steals. And Ethan Boland, 20 points, 13 rebounds and 3 steals. For SMA in a losing effort, G. Jones with 14 points, 7 rebounds and 3 steals. Rashid Joseph, 19 points, 6 rebounds and 4 steals. And Francis with 16 points and 2 steals. Meantime, the girls' playoffs will bounce off at the Benjamins Park as defending champions Portsmouth Secondary do battle with Dominica State College on Friday. The game is carded for 3 p.m. Still in sports division games, the 2016 First Domestic Insurance Secondary Schools Cricket Championships will have first knock on Friday. The competition will commence with opening addresses from various stakeholders and a ballarama at 9:30. All teams will be looking to dethrone the Isaiah Thomas Secondary when the competition unfolds. The first match begins on Tuesday when the Dominica Grammar School plays against the Pierre Charles Secondary from 10 a.m. at Botanic Gardens. The National Bank of Dominica Primary Schools District Boys Football Championships begins on Friday. At the Benjamins Park, the North, Northeast, West, and East teams will play in Zone A. Zone B's competition is carded for Newtown Savannah to include South, South Central, Southeast, and Southwest. The competition will take on a round-robin format where the top 2 teams will advance to the semi-final rounds. The Southwest was last year's champions. In female sports, defending champions New India Assurance Celtic cut it close in their match against Spartans when they won the game 36-33. Jennifer Nanton, fresh from coaching the national under-16 team to 3rd place recently, bagged an impressive 35 for Celtic. Spartans, in an effort to knock down their competition, had Anne-Marie Xavier with 23 and Melissa Williams 10. The next scheduled matches will be on Saturday with Sparts versus Portsmouth Breakers at 3 p.m., while at 4:30, Cocoa Town Cafe Portsmouth Secondary School will take on New India Assurance Celtic. The venue, Dominica Grammar School Hard Court. That's all the time for sports. Do join us again next time. Coming up next, your weather report.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am Janelle Macpherson. A trough system today continued to generate partly cloudy to cloudy skies across the region. Visible satellite imagery showed some low-level clouds across the central portion of the island chain. Radar imagery indicated some widely scattered showers across parts of the islands. The weather for tonight is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with some widely scattered showers. Tomorrow, expect partly cloudy skies with some widely scattered showers and temperatures peaking near 31 degrees Celsius. Sea conditions tomorrow are expected to be slight to moderate with waves peaking up to 5 feet. For the next few days, Friday and Saturday, expect partly cloudy skies with some widely scattered showers. By Sunday, an increase in cloudiness and shower activity can be expected. Throughout the region tomorrow, a trough system will continue to generate partly cloudy skies and scattered showers throughout the island chain. On the international cities forecast, clear skies expected in New York, thunderstorm activity in Miami and Caracas, some cloudy skies and rain expected in London, and some cloudy conditions in Beijing. The sun will rise tomorrow at 5:50 a.m. and set at 6:20 p.m. For up-to-date weather information, please visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thanks for viewing and have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. A new draft electronic communications bill adopted this week, expected to address fixed-line broadband markets. Dominica Essential Oils and Spices needs a $2 million shot in the arm to get back on its feet. And one adult male being questioned by police in connection with a suspected homicide in Silver Lake. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNewsApril14th2k16. You can also access our past newscast on our YouTube page. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Kenny Williams. To our viewers around the world, thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.